Margaret's flight landed smoothly. Exhaustion from the week-long business trip clung to her like a second skin. All she wanted was her husband's embrace, the comforting scent of his familiar aftershave. As the taxi pulled up to their quaint suburban home, a knot of unease tightened in her stomach. The house was unusually dark. Unlocking the front door, Margaret called out for Lloyd, her voice echoing in the silence. "Margaret? Lloyd, honey, I'm home." There was no answer. A strange chill ran down her spine. Lloyd was a creature of habit, always there to greet her with a warm smile and a steaming cup of tea. This absence, this emptiness, was deeply unsettling. Margaret checked their bedroom, the study, even the basement, empty. Rooms were messy if a child had been there. She even found childish drawings and half-eaten meals. Panic began to rise in her throat. She noticed his phone and wallet was still on the nightstand. Where could he be? Her eyes fell on Lloyd's laptop sitting open on his desk. A glimmer of hope flickered. Maybe there was a message, an explanation. Approaching the desk, Margaret noticed the screen displayed a video file labeled Day 1. Curiosity piqued. She clicked on it, her heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and hope. Little did she know this was just the beginning of a journey into the unknown, a journey that would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, time, and the universe itself. The video flickered to life, revealing Lloyd's face. A touch paler than usual, but his eyes alight with an almost manic energy.
Margaret, if you're seeing this, then something incredible, something terrifying has happened.
Margaret leaned closer, her breath catching in her throat. Lloyd went on to explain he'd been working late, studying the strange meteorite sample they'd brought back. No doubt meaning his research partner, Aaron, he'd been exposing it to various experiments, trying to unlock its secrets. Then he described a surge, a blinding flash of light. He woke up feeling different, younger somehow. He held up a hand, showing a small heel cut that wasn't there before she left on her trip.
It's healing at an accelerated rate, Margaret. I think the meteorite, it did something to me.
The video ended abruptly. Margaret's mind reeled. De-aging, accelerated healing. It sounded like something out of a science fiction novel, yet here it was, staring back at her from Lloyd's laptop. Her gaze fell on another video file, labeled Day 2. With trembling hands she clicked on it, a growing sense of dread washing over her. The second video showed Lloyd looking even younger, his features less defined, his hair regaining its youthful color. He spoke of strange dreams, visions of his childhood, memories resurfacing with crystal clarity. He spoke of his fear, his confusion, his desperate need to understand what was happening to him. Each video Margaret watched painted a progressively more disturbing picture. Lloyd was aging in reverse, the hands of time spinning backward on his very being. Day 3 showed him as a young man in his 20s, his once distinguished salt and pepper hair now a vibrant shade of brown. He seemed to be chatting with Aaron online through a chat box. His voice had a higher pitch, his movements more energetic, almost childlike. By day 5, Lloyd was barely recognizable as the man Margaret knew and loved. He appeared to be in his late teens, his face unlined, his eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and terror. He spoke of feeling lost, adrift in a sea of fading memories. He no longer mentioned Margaret by name, his recollections of their life together seemingly fading with each passing hour. As Margaret watched the final video, tears streamed down her face. The Lloyd she knew, the brilliant, loving man she'd built a life with, was gone, replaced by a stranger trapped in a rapidly de-aging body. The final frame of the video showed Lloyd, no older than 16, staring at his reflection in the laptop screen, his expression a mask of confusion and fear. The silence that followed was deafening. Margaret felt a wave of nausea wash over her. She stumbled back from the desk, her hand flying to her mouth. Something wasn't right. A strange metallic tang filled the air, and a wave of dizziness swept over her. The room seemed to spin. She reached out for support, her hand landing on Lloyd's desk. Aaron arrived just then and had Margaret come out to his car. Aaron looking at the rock on Lloyd's desk with fear. Margaret's head was spinning as Aaron's car pulled up in front of his house. Margaret felt and looked years younger now, her reflection showing a young woman now. She'd been feet away from that meteorite sample, watching all those videos. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the driveway. Aaron's wife, Nina, stood at the door, her face etched with worry. "Margaret, you need to come with me," Aaron had said earlier, his voice steady but urgent. Confused and still reeling from the shock of Lloyd's transformation and her own, Margaret had followed him without question. Nina greeted them with a soft, reassuring smile. "He's okay, Margaret," she said gently, leading her inside. The house was quiet, filled with an air of tense anticipation. They walked through the dimly lit hallway to a back room recently converted for another purpose. Margaret's heart pounded in her chest. She didn't know what to expect, but nothing could have prepared her for what she saw next. In the corner of the room, a crib stood against the wall. Inside it lay a baby, his tiny naked chest rising and falling with each breath. The infant that was Lloyd wore only a diaper. Margaret's breath caught in her throat as she looked into his eyes. Lloyd's eyes. The baby gazed up at her, his expression one of innocent curiosity. Tears welled up in Margaret's eyes as she reached down, her fingers trembling. She gently picked him up, cradling him in her arms. Nina's voice broke the silence. "The government will be removing the dangerous meteorite, and they pay you well to stay quiet about it," she explained softly. "It's best that we focus on Lloyd. You have to raise Lloyd as your son." Margaret's mind raced, struggling to process the enormity of the situation. She looked down at the baby in her arms, his eyes so familiar yet so different. This was Lloyd, but also not Lloyd. His mind was wiped clean of memories, leaving only the innocence of infancy. A bittersweet smile played on Margaret's lips. She always wanted a child, but her body couldn't have children. She had lost her husband, but in a strange twist of fate, she had gained a son. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges and heartache, but as she held the baby close, a sense of determination washed over her. She would protect him, love him, and give him the life he deserved. The room was filled with a profound silence, broken only by the baby's soft coos. Some tiny part of Lloyd's love must have survived, because he clung to her, saying, "Mama?" Margaret knew that this was just the beginning of a new, unexpected chapter in their lives. The road ahead was daunting, but at least she wasn't alone.